So lately I have been thinking of redecorating my room yet again. I feel like I do it every couple of years because I spend like 95% of my time in my bedroom. I work from home, my desk is in here. It's kind of a little unhealthy actually. But it brings me joy to have a room that I like and that I think is cute and just makes me happy. So while I have been relentlessly browsing Pinterest and looking for room ideas, I thought I'd do a video on some aesthetic room decor ideas. I'm going to talk about ideas for a bunch of different types of aesthetics like dark academia, cottagecore, fairycore, coquette, and maybe the e-girl aesthetic as well. And I'm also going to mention some places that I like to shop for room decor. So if this sounds interesting to you, maybe if you've been thinking of redecorating your room as well, then stay tuned. And if you want even more aesthetic content and some fashion content as well, then subscribe to my channel. And also my posting schedule has been really wonky lately. Sometimes I post on Wednesdays, sometimes I post on Fridays. I work a full-time job as well as doing YouTube, so my schedule can get pretty busy sometimes. And I've been trying to be more forgiving of myself if I do miss a posting date. So I don't really have a regular schedule right now, so you should definitely hit that bell icon for notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. And you can also follow me on Instagram at DRESSRELIEF and on TikTok at DRESSRELIEF. And let's jump right into this video. So first I wanted to talk about furniture because that's like the baseline of a room. So if you're thinking of buying furniture anytime soon, then keep this in mind for these different aesthetics. For dark academia, I would go for a vintagey aesthetic and of course a dark color palette. And I also have a video on dark academia room decor specifically, so check that out if you are only interested in dark academia. I have a video on fairycore room decor as well, so check that out if you're only interested in cottagecore or fairycore. But to move on, things like a vintage dresser, a vintage desk, a bookshelf of course, because dark academia definitely centers a lot around reading and knowledge. Something I've always wanted if I ever had the space would be like a bookshelf that takes up the whole wall with a ladder to reach the ones at the top. It's like every little nerdy girl's dream to have that ladder bookshelf like in Beauty and the Beast. For things like chairs or sofas, I would go for dark gem tone colors, and maybe like velvety furniture or leather furniture could work as well for dark academia. And I think these can work for light academia as well. Just look for a lighter color palette. And another thing that can work for both light and dark academia would be those fancy mirrors with the gold vintagey frames. Those are always really pretty, and it could also work for cottagecore as well, or the coquette aesthetic. Speaking of cottagecore and fairycore, let's move on to those aesthetics. I think the vintagey theme could also work for this aesthetic, especially for cottagecore, except it would have more of a farm-like vibe, like a farmhouse or a house in the countryside, or like a cottage, of course, because it's cottagecore. And I would go for a lighter color palette similar to light academia, which by the way, light academia and coquette aesthetic I feel like have very similar vibes for room decor as well. It's just, I feel like coquette can be a little bit more feminine and romantic. But back to cottagecore, I'm kind of jumping around everywhere. I feel like there would be more floral and green motifs, of course, because there is an emphasis on nature in cottagecore and fairycore. So plants are very important if you're into cottagecore or fairycore. You probably are interested in plants already, so I would imagine your room would have a lot of plants around. For a more trendy look, I would go for like that rattan vibe, like the woody kind of look and that rattan fabric, or that like beige linen fabric, or those wooden pole wrap, is that what it's called? Yeah, that pole wrap. There'll be a picture here, hopefully. And I feel like those styles are really trendy right now, but it can also work well with like the plant vibe, and I think that could fit the cottagecore and fairycore aesthetic still. Now for furniture, for an aesthetic like Y2K or e-girl, I would go for more modern styles instead of vintage. So sleek furniture, something you'd see straight out of an IKEA catalog would probably work. And I feel it's more about styling those furniture pieces to make them look more like Y2K or more like e-girl. Something that could fit both would be like a checkerboard print, like a checkerboard rug or something. I feel like tiles in general are pretty trendy too. For Y2K, of course, I would go for more colorful things like colorful furniture, colorful curtains, and I also feel like there was a lot of plasticky decor back then, and you would probably definitely thrift or find those on online thrift stores as well and buy them secondhand, because like Y2K wasn't that long ago. I'm sure people are selling some stuff. For soft girl specifically, I think this kind of furniture would work as well. I would just go for like lighter colors or white. And for soft girl, e-girl, and Y2K, you could also get like mirrors in a fun shape, like a heart-shaped mirror or something like that. I've seen like some really cool ones on Etsy that I'll put pictures of here too. Moving on from furniture, let's talk about lighting, because I feel like lighting really makes or breaks a space, which I feel like I need to improve on in my next little redecoration of my room. I'm going to try to get more like ambient lighting. But anyways, for dark academia and cottagecore, I would go for like vintage lamps. For dark academia specifically, I would look for like industrial looking lamps or like lanterns, something that has that kind of moody vibe. For cottagecore, I would go for more of the kind of vintage that you would find at your grandma's place. So maybe something like a floral print or just light or bright pastel colors. And for fairycore, though in general there's a lot of similarities with cottagecore, when it comes to lighting, I would try to really go for that like ethereal vibe and mysterious magical forest vibe of fairycore. So something ambient like that and nature theme, maybe like mushroom lights, fairy lights. I think those will fit fairycore better. For Y2K, lava lamps would be really cool. Always wanted one of those as a kid. Neon lights or LED lights could work, and of course neon lights and LED lights work really well for e-girl as well. I feel like e-girls are known for LED lights in their room. Next, moving on to miscellaneous decor like rugs, wall art, things like that. For dark academia, cottagecore, and fairycore, I think stained glass would be so pretty and could fit all of those aesthetics. I love the look of stained glass. I actually want to get into making it myself. It just don't know where to start. I'm a little scared to work with sharp materials like glass, but I think it'd be so cool and a really fun art hobby to take up. So if anyone knows anything about stained glass, let me know in the comments down below. I really want to get into that. Fake vines can work as well for, I feel like you can make it work for any aesthetic, but for cottagecore and fairycore it works especially well, of course, for that nature theme. For Y2K, a disco ball would be really cool too, and I saw these like cherry disco balls that I thought were really cute, and I think I'm going to try to DIY those. So follow me on Instagram if you want to see me make those. I'm probably going to post something about it on there or on TikTok or both. Cute vases could work for pretty much any aesthetic as well. For cottagecore, I would look for like ceramic teacups and cute things like that for that like cottage tea time kind of vibe. And little ceramic knickknacks in general could work for cottagecore and for fairycore as well. So things like little animals, little floral things. For fairycore, a little fairy, a little mushroom or something like that. For dark academia, you can go for something a little more dark and macabre, like a ceramic skull or something like that. Yeah, I don't know, just look for like motifs that are common in those aesthetics and try to find like little ceramic knickknacks or vases that fit those motifs. For rugs, I feel like rugs can really elevate a space. So for dark or light academia, I would go for like a very classic design, maybe like a Turkish rug. I feel like those are very common and would fit the aesthetic pretty well depending on the color palette. Just try to match the color palette of your room. Or if you want more of a glam vibe, I feel like a fur rug could also fit that aesthetic. For cottagecore or fairycore, I would go for a naturey vibe, of course. So something like a floral print rug, or something I've seen recently is a moss rug, which I think are super cute. And I high-key want one, except that my cat would probably tear that up, but it's very tempting anyway. But moving on, for Y2K, I would go for like a fuzzy, bright colored rug, maybe trendy patterns like that swirly 70s-like pattern, or a checkerboard print, or a zebra or cow print rug, or I've seen like this specific design of flowers that I feel like is very trendy right now in clothing, and I feel like that would also fit that colorful, bright Y2K aesthetic. For e-girl, I feel like any dark color palette rug would work here, or that checkerboard print could work here as well, or maybe like a rug of like some character or cartoony like that fits the e-girl aesthetic too, or like anime. I don't know. E-girls like anime, right? Who doesn't like anime these days? For the soft girl or coquette aesthetic, I would look for light pastel colors, maybe floral print as well. And soft girl can also have like cute animals or characters on it too, cartoon characters like for e-girl as well. Or maybe like a light or white colored fur rug. Next, moving on to wall art. You could have posters of your favorite band or movie, which I feel like works very well for e-girl or for Y2K. You can have paintings, which are perfect for dark academia because I feel like there's such a love for classical painting, classical literature, and things like that in dark academia. And I think paintings could also work for coquette, light academia of course, and maybe even cottagecore if you have some like landscape or nature themed paintings. You can also have illustrations as wall art, so like botanical illustrations for cottagecore or fairycore, or anatomical illustrations for dark academia, things like that. You can have book pages or music sheets for dark academia, make sort of a collage on your wall. I think that could also work for coquette aesthetic as well. And records and CDs can work for pretty much any aesthetic as well, but especially e-girl, Y2K, dark academia. If you're more into the music side of arts for dark academia, I think that would fit well too. You can also put up dried or pressed flowers on your wall, whether it's framed or whether you hang them up on a string or just kind of tape them up in your like book page collage. And that could work really well for dark academia, for cottagecore and fairycore, for coquette, and maybe even soft girl aesthetic. And now before I move on to talking about where to shop, I wanted to talk a little bit about curtains. So for curtains, I would just go for the color scheme that fits the aesthetic you're going for. So for dark academia, dark neutral colors, maybe dark gem tone colors. For light academia, light neutral colors. For cottagecore, fairycore, maybe like earthy colors. Maybe some light pastels can work as well. And I would go pretty simple, maybe just like a solid colored curtain if you have a lot of wall art and decor on your walls, just to not be too overwhelming or too distracting. Unless you like that maximalism vibe, then that's cool too. I think maximalism is really cool and really pretty aesthetic. It's just not for me particularly, mostly because I have a very small space to work with, but if you want to go for that, that's cool too. You could also go for motifs that fit that aesthetic, so for like cottagecore, fairycore, something like a floral print curtain would work really well. And finally, I wanted to talk about places I like to shop for home decor. So first of all, I always love to thrift, as I mentioned in quite a lot of videos, or going to the antique store or the flea market. You could find a lot of really cool and unique items there, and especially if you're going for an aesthetic like dark academia or light academia or cottagecore, something that has a vintagey vibe, you could find a lot of really cool vintage pieces at the flea market or at the antique store or at the thrift store. There's a lot of really cool options that you can find. It just takes a little more digging. I also think you can find some unique options on Etsy because it's an online marketplace with a whole bunch of different sellers. There's a lot of things you can find on there as well. Just search something like vintage lamp or vintage poster or something like that. You can find a lot of really cool items on Etsy as well. Urban Outfitters and Anthropologie have some really cool items too. They're a lot more trendier and can be a lot more pricier as well, so beware of that, but I do like looking at their items, especially Urban Outfitters, because it's more in my price range. And sometimes they have sales too, so you can look for those. For basics, I'm sure many of you know already about IKEA and Target. There's a lot of really basic options there, but it can be very affordable and you can style them into the aesthetic you like. And I also love checking that like $5 section of Target. There can be some pretty cool finds there as well. H&M also has a home section that I recently learned about, and I feel like you could probably find some cool items there. I haven't looked too much into it, but I think you'd find similar items to like Target and maybe Urban Outfitters, so that's worth checking out too. And finally, you can try to DIY things. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to try to DIY that cherry disco ball that I saw. I'm also going to try to DIY my IKEA bookshelf and turn it into like a stand dresser cabinet sort of thing. I don't know furniture terms, but here's a little picture I found on Pinterest that I'm going to try to copy. You could also try to DIY wall art as well. That's pretty achievable too. You can look up some tutorials online for some DIY ideas. You can even go on Pinterest and look up like DIY room decor, DIY, very core room decor. I've seen like a moss covered mirror that I thought would be really cool and fit that cottagecore, fairycore vibe really well. Just try to be creative with it, and of course look online for ideas. There's tons of cool DIY projects out there. People are really creative out there, and yeah, there's a lot you can DIY yourself, and it can be a lot more affordable than trying to buy all these items. And that's pretty much all I have for where to shop. To be fair, that might be pretty basic, and I feel like a lot of people know about these places already, but if you have any more ideas, definitely let me know in the comments below, because I am trying to redecorate my room, so I would love to know ideas, and I'm sure many people out there would love to know where to shop as well, so let me know in the comments, please. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped you out. I try to cover as many aesthetics I could think of, but if you want me to cover any more room decor ideas for aesthetics, then definitely let me know in the comments down below. Again, follow me on Instagram at DRESSRELIEF and on TikTok at DRESSRELIEF. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell icon for notifications for my future videos, and I'll see you guys next time.